Once upon a time, there was a great and powerful king who ruled over a prosperous and peaceful kingdom. He was known for his wealth, wisdom, and ability to solve any problem that arose in his realm. People from all over came to admire his kingdom, for it was rich in resources, and the king's palace was the grandest of them all. Despite his many achievements, the king had never ventured far from his palace. One day, he decided to visit the distant parts of his kingdom. He wanted to see how his subjects lived, observe the land he ruled, and gain a deeper understanding of the world outside his palace walls. It was an exciting journey for the king, filled with new sights, experiences, and emotions. However, the roads leading to the farthest villages were not as smooth as those near the palace. The paths were rough, filled with rocks, stones, and sharp edges that made every step challenging. The king, unaccustomed to such harsh terrain, felt the full weight of the journey in his feet. He walked for miles over these rugged roads, and by the time he returned to the palace, his feet were aching and swollen. Upon arriving back at his grand home, the king was furious. His feet throbbed with pain, and he was overwhelmed with frustration. How could my roads be so terrible? He thought to himself. I am the king of this land, and yet I cannot even walk comfortably in my own kingdom. Determined to fix the problem, the king summoned his advisors and servants. He declared, "The roads in my kingdom are too rough and uncomfortable to walk on. I want you to cover every single road in the country with soft leather. This way, no one will ever have to walk on hard, painful ground again." The advisors were shocked by the king's command. Covering the entire kingdom's roads with leather was an enormous task. It would require the skin of thousands of cows, cost a fortune, and take an incredible amount of time and effort. However, none of the king's advisors dared to question his order, for they feared his temper. But there was one servant, a wise and humble man, who could not stay silent. He gathered his courage and approached the king, bowing low before speaking. "Your Majesty, may I offer a suggestion?" The king, still fuming, gestured for the servant to speak. "Why must we cover every road with leather? That would be costly and difficult. Instead, Your Majesty, why don't you just cover your feet with a small piece of leather? That way, no matter where you walk, your feet will always be protected." The king was taken aback by the servant's suggestion. At first, he was confused. How could such a small change solve such a big problem? But as he thought about it, the wisdom of the idea became clear. Rather than trying to change the entire world to suit his needs, he could simply change the way he approached the problem. The king smiled, realizing the brilliance of this simple idea. He ordered his shoemakers to craft a pair of leather shoes for him, and when the shoes were finished, he put them on and walked outside. Instantly, his feet were comfortable and protected, no matter how rough the road beneath him was. The king no longer needed to change the world. He had changed himself,